What is up, YouTube? Eos here, back at it again with another YouTube video. So I talked to my teacher about this channel, and he said that I can upload videos as long as they're 1 week past the due date. And he also said that I can make intro to computer science content, which I'm super excited about because I really wanted to make videos about both classes that I've taken, and now have the opportunity to do that. So this is the start of the Intro to Computer Science series, where I'm going to be doing the Intro to Computer Science assignments. And so, yeah, without further ado, let's get into the video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, and smash that notification bell. And let's get started with the first programming assignment, an intro to computer science. All right, so let's read the program specifications real quick. So we're just writing a program that displays class information of all our courses. And we just have to make sure we include these things. So we're going to do the department code, the course name, the lecture number of the course, start and end time, days of the week, and the room your course meets in. So they give us some guidelines on how to print stuff to the screen. And so they tell us how to print stuff, how to do a tab, and how to get a new line. So for the purposes of this video, I will only be using these three to show how to actually print stuff to the screen. And I will be doing the outputs the exact same as the sample runs, just to make sure everyone follows along. So now that we know a little bit about these parameters here, let's try to code it up. So we're going to go into Eclipse. And so the first thing, if this is your first computer science video, you want to make sure you have Eclipse installed. There's a ton of tutorials on how to install Eclipse, so I'm not really going to get into it. But just look up a YouTube video, and you'll definitely find how to get Eclipse installed. So to make a new program here, you'll probably be left with the screen. You probably won't have any files in your Project Explorer here. But to make a new one, all you do is File, New, Java Project, and then name the project something that you'll be able to know as Program 1. So I'll do Program 1. Since this is a YouTube tutorial, I'll do YT just for me. Press Finish. All right, now you'll have Program 1 made. Then you can go to New. So after Program 1, after you make your Program 1, you want to right click and then do New Class. Now you want to name the class something that you'll be able to recognize. So right now we're making class schedule, so we'll do class schedule. Now one thing about making classes is that they can't have a space in them. You can have an underscore, or you could just make it one word. But it has to be some variation of one word. I usually like to do underscores because it makes it look cleaner. And then also when you make a new class, something that's pretty useful is to press this button here. This is what's called the main method. You won't really have to worry about what the main method does for the purposes of this class, but you just want to make sure you always have it. And I'll show you what the main method looks like after we create this class. So after you press finish, your class will be made and it'll automatically take you to it. So this is public class, then the name of your class, and now we have the main method. So you won't have to worry about what the main method does, but you want to make sure, oh, and then this thing right here, you can just delete it. It's just a comment. It doesn't actually do anything to your code. So you want to make sure that your code is inside of this main method here. So do you see these braces here? If you click on a brace, and it'll highlight the brace that it's associated with. Sometimes I usually space these out like this, so I keep them in line. Same thing with the public class. I just try to keep these all in line here. So this is the main method, and you want to make sure everything you do, all the work that you do inside of your program is stored inside of the main method so it can run properly. All right, so we have our public class made, we have our main method, and now we can actually start typing stuff inside of it. So let's go back to our parameters and see what we need to type. So we know we have to type stuff about our class, and we're going to be using system.out.print, system.out.print for tab, and ln for new line. So let's try to talk about what each of these means, and then we can start typing up our class schedule. So if we're doing system.out.print, let's go back to Eclipse here. So if we want to print something to the screen, we're going to do system, capital S, system.out, .print. And then we're going to need some parentheses, and then we're going to need Java will like to default to something, but right now we're just going to do parentheses, and then we're going to need some quotation marks, and then we're going to need a semicolon at the end. So this is the very, very, very basic syntax for how you want to print something to the screen. Now we can print to the screen anything that's in quotes. So let's say my mom's watching this video. Hi, mom. Just like this. And then if you want to run your code, you just go up to this green button and press run. And boom, hi mom will be printed to the screen. If this is your first time using Java, your terminal will actually be down here. I just like putting it up here because I think it looks nice, but I'll just move it down here. Just so it'll look like probably somebody else's. So just like that. Now, if you want to have a tab, you can do system.out.print parentheses /t. And then you're also going to need to close it with a semicolon, just like this. So now let's say we have another print statement followed by hi mom. So let's say we have hi mom, then we have a tab, and then we'll do hi dad. So again, if you want to print another thing, you do system.out.print. Then we'll do parentheses inside of our, we'll do quotations inside our parentheses, end it with a semicolon, and do hi dad. Switch more because I'm excited. So then we'll run this code this time, and we'll have hi mom, then we'll have a tab followed by hi dad. Now there are ways to do this in less lines of code, but since this is the first programming assignment, we're just going to keep it simple and just write everything in their own line just to show what each individual line of code is doing. All right, so let's talk about what system.out.println does. So we talked about, system.out.print and then printing stuff to the screen. We talked about tab, and then we also talked about system.out.print again. And so when we run this code, we get hi mom, tab, hi dad. So now let's talk about ln. So let's type in system.out.print or system.out.print ln, and then we're going to have some parentheses with nothing inside of them, and then we're going to have a semicolon. So if we run this code, right now the exact same thing is going to happen. Hi mom, tab, hi dad. So what does system.out.println actually do? Well, let's try to print something else. So we'll do system.out.print. Then this time we're going to have our parentheses and we're going to have our quotations just like usual with the hi mom and hi dad example. And we'll just say it's cold outside, because it's always cold outside here. All right, now let's run this. So if you see, we have hi mom, then we have our tab, then we have hi dad right here, but then we also have it's cold outside printed on a new line. So what system.out.println does is print the next thing on a new line. So this is useful for actually spacing out our code. Now, if we want to have another space, we could do system.out.print ln again. And so this way we're making 2 lines of space in between this block of code or this print statement and this print statement. So let's try it one more time. And just like that, we made a new block of code. Okay, so these are the only 3 things we'll have to know to actually complete our first programming assignment. So let's go back to the parameters. All right, so reading the parameters here, this is a sample run that we're going to do. For the purposes of this video, I'm probably just going to only output this sample run. I think the assignment is asking to print your own class schedule, but your class schedule will follow the same exact guidelines as this right here. So I'm probably just going to use this. So one trick we can do is actually copy using C, Control C, and Control V. So I'll Control C, and then I'll go back to my IDE here, and then I'll press Control V. So if you see here, we got a bunch of errors on our code because it doesn't really understand what this is. But if you do 2 backslashes, it'll actually evaluate these lines of code as comments. Now, comments are super, super useful. So it's good to get in the habit of using a lot of comments in your code. And basically what comments do is it's ways to write notes on your program without it being evaluated in the code. So right now these are basically just seen as comments and it's not affecting the code at all. And I think this is useful so we can actually see what we want to output without having to go back to the parameters every time. So remember, going back, we know how to print, we know how to tab, and we know how to get a new line. Now, for the purposes of this print statement, I'm actually not going to be using tab. I'm just going to be using print and new line. And I'll show you why in a second. So to get this, so right now, looking at the problem, it looks like we're going to have to do a print statement. Then we're going to need a new line to get this statement on the second line. So let's begin. So system.out.print. Then we're going to do parentheses, and then we're going to have our quotation marks inside our parentheses, ended by a semicolon. And then inside here, we're going to type comp sci 251. Now we can throw a space in here after our quotations. Oops. Three. Oops. All right. So let's get rid of this so this isn't in our output. And now let's see how we did so far. All right, awesome. So we have the first line. Now if we want this on a new line, remember we just need system.out.print ln. Oops, sorry. .print ln. Remember, nothing inside of these parentheses here, and then ended by a semicolon. And then let's end it with system.out.print. Put our quotations because we want to type something, and the lecture. So lecture 401 to 1015 or 1050 a.m. Monday, Wednesday. The EMS W190. All right. So now let's see if this is the output that we want. All right. Looks pretty correct so far. Thank you guys so much for watching the video, and I hope you guys have a great day.